buddy. Go get him, man. You're passing him, he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the fourth round of the STC Race Department Championship, the 45 minutes of Twin Ring Motegi, presented by rSeat.net. Will Vincent, Rob Cuss and Dan Blake in the booth. And Rob, I'll come to you first. Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa, Will. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I actually had a full hello, and in fact I'll do it right now. Konnichiwa Trone Choza, which is hello, ladies and gentlemen. So we're at Motegi, and we've had so far 3 rounds, 2 90-minute races and a 45-minute sprint race. Now into the second half of the season, 2 sprint races, 1 endurance race, and this second half of the season, it's going to be very different to what we've seen the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, is anyone going to topple ineX Racing? That's the question. They've been pretty dominant so far, haven't they, really?
I think the word dominant doesn't even come into it. You know, you have a look at the championship, and they are right there, 254 points. Are right now a full 62 points ahead of their closest rival, which is Danielson Motorsports Virtual. And of course, they jumped up the standings a couple of races ago, Rob, after an impressive showing in there. But still, ineX didn't win last time out, still came second, still leading the championship, and still pulling away.
Yeah, they've got such a depth of field of drivers and talent. It's it'll be very hard for the other teams to catch up. I'm looking for my team to do a little bit better this round. We've put 2 of our strongest drivers in, so hopefully we'll take the second spot from DMV, from Daniel Motorsport.
And also, Dan, because of the fact that we've had half the season already, some of the teams are having to use other drivers to what they've used in the first 3 rounds of the season. We had, you know, some of the big names are going to have to take a couple of races out because of the way this, the championship works, that the drivers just can't race each of the 6 rounds. They can only race half of them.
Definitely will. It makes it a lot more of a team game. It's not a case where you can put your best drivers out every week and try and go for victory. There's a bit of a diversity in there as well, because all the teams have the same dilemma. The ones with the strongest drivers, you feel at the end, will be the ones who are at the top.
But Rob, for some of the teams, they actually have got better drivers, arguably. Turn our attention to Blue Flag Racing, for example. John Paquin today, in that number 22 car, he is sat 5th in qualifying right now, and he's going to really produce a good showing for that team.
Exactly, one of the legends of iRacing. Great driver, all-round good guy. Definitely going to boost his team up, unless he gets involved in an incident.
Indeed, and let's talk about that momentarily, because you know, this is a night race. We can't really see much at this track, and it's also a very technical track as well. So a lot of these drivers, you know, are gonna have to be careful that those first couple of laps. But being a 45-minute race and being a dark race, you're gonna want to get going at some point very quickly.
Yep, you want to get going. You also want to make sure your headlights are fully on the high beam position, so you can actually see.
That would be helpful. Now, 45 minutes here today. The laps will tick off. It's a 1 minute 48, 49 lap here today. So these drivers, they're going to want to get going quickly. And also traffic here could be an issue because of the fact that, you know, lap traffic might come into play.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot more of a frantic start as well. In the previous race, it's been a bit more gentlemanly, a bit more relaxed, shall we say. But I think it's going to be, with the shorter race, I think it's going to be a bit more action at the top. And as you said, Will, traffic will become an issue, but it won't be as big as an issue as in the longer race. I think quite a few of these cars probably won't end up being lapped with it being a 45-minute race, but I definitely think we're in for some fireworks in the first couple of laps for sure.
Don't forget, keep in contact with us on Twitter or Racelong. You can use the hashtag GlacierTV. I'd like to give a shout out to my friend and former teammate Mark Warmington. Paquin for the win, but don't jinx him. We'll try our best not to. But meanwhile, we have got ourselves a little under 2 minutes before the end of qualifying. Right now, Enzo Bonito in that number 31 car is leading the way. But got a couple of drivers who are trying to go faster. One of them is right now John Paquin. He's working himself out of the final corner. He's going to come past the start finish line. And what's it going to be for the greatest driver ever step into IndyCar? He doesn't do his lap there. I think he lost it on the last corner. And you could argue that for Paquin, that could have been closer to pole position there.
Yeah, it could have been. Easy to scuff corner speed in these cars. Little error to cost him. Here you go again.
He won't go again because qualifying pretty much is about over. We haven't got many cars. We've got Philip Widdowson right now and Ricard Andrew Taines. They are on the racetrack, as is Alain Tesser. And Jan Wedden has just aborted lap. Paul Ilbrink, put your radical hat on, boys. He in the 41 car has just stopped on the racetrack. He has done his 3 laps of the day. His fastest a 1:49.027. And I tell you what, both Paquin and Ilbrink have done this. A couple of people are using their 4th laps, Rob, to actually test out some standing starts.
It's a smart move because it is a standing start, and these cars do like to dance a little off the start line. So see if the boys that practicing make those flyers. Paul's quick off the lights, obviously one of the WCS drivers, so used to standing starts in the Williams. So see how he gets on.
Right then, we're going to run through your top 20 in the grid, and it is Enzo Bonito claiming pole position by just 1/100th of a second for Teemu Iivonen in the 01 car. 3rd place, Rami Kaukola. 4th place, Angelo Di Mea. In 5th is Yves van Tuiven. In 6th is Risto Capet. In 7th is John Paquin. In 8th is Ludwig Anderson. In 9th, Kevin Viekemans. In 10th is Jamie Rushworth. 11th is Paul Ilbrink. 12th is Ricardo Shiven. 13th is Ricard Andrew Tellens. 14th is Kevin Asher, 15th Jan Wedden, 16th Andres Cortana, 17th Oliver Brand, 18th is Jesus Says, and then 19th is Alejandro Catano, 20th is Miguel Angel Gaya Yomi. A total of 36 cars have made the trip to Japan for this race. We're going to go green in about a minute and a half time here. Waiting now for these cars to actually line up on the grid. Getting closer and closer to race start. The Japanese tarmac here, it sounds silly, but different composition means the cars handle differently to the way they have over the last 3 rounds of the season. This is the 4th round of the season, the rSeat.net. 45 minutes of twin Ring Motegi here on Glacier TV, presented by rSeat.net and the STC Race Department. Will Vincent, Dan Blake and Rob Cuss here in the booth for the next 45 minutes. We are waiting with bated breath for the rest of these drivers to line up on the grid. We've got ourselves about 20 seconds now. The last of the cars now finding their way onto the grid, and as they've done so, we'll be waiting for those lights to go on the iRacing.com gantry. They will stay on anywhere between about 5 and 7 seconds, and then we'll be racing here at Twin Ring Motegi for a total of 45 minutes. Is it going to be ineX Racing once again dominating? Can Enzo Bonito do something from pole position? Rami Kaukola in the 3rd spot, what can he do? We've got so many storylines about to kick off here at Twin Ring Motegi, waiting for those lights to go green. Now they're green, and all the cars getting a good start. They're ready for 5 wide as they storm down into turn 1 for the first time. It's going to be a battle.
We've got an accident in the back.
We've got an accident towards the rear.
Yeah, on the start, Jeremy's that more luck?
But meanwhile, out front, you've yourself Enzo Bonito for ineX Racing leading way, Teemu Iivonen for ineX Racing within the 2nd position, Rami Kaukola in the 3rd position for RPM. Then you've got Angelo Di Mea in the 4th position, Isaac Vanagon in the 6th position, Risto Capet going very sideways there in the flat-out car into turn number 3. They come now, Paquin in 7th, Viekemans in the 8th spot, and Anderson there looking down to the inside of Viekemans, thought better of it here in the early going. Rushworth now going side by side with Paul Ilbrink. This is the battle for the 10th position on the racetrack. Ilbrink on the outside line, just about able to get the job done. The top 10 are clean down, but for the fact there was some trouble.
Yeah, also, we were talking about Jamie Rushworth earlier on. He lost a few positions going into turn 2 and 3. The two left-handers found himself on the outside, lost some space, but as you said, a little further down, there was a little bit of hassle, but otherwise it's been quite a clean start by all involved.
Pretty clean as they're working themselves now down the back straightaway. This is the club track racetrack. Kevin Asher looking down to the inside of Andres Catana there. He will complete the pass as they work themselves onto the back straightaway. The front 4 or 5 drivers are a little bit one together. Enzo Bonito has pulled out the early lead though. And Teemu Iivonen looking as though he's under a bit of pressure right now from Rami Kaukola in the battle for the second spot. They're immediately able to stay with him, as is Van Schuylen. Capet falling off a little bit, and Pequim in this 7th position also falling off this group a little bit. And right now, under some huge pressure from Kevin Pequim in the battle for the 7th and 8th position, what will be on the racetrack as they come past the start-finish line to put their first lap in the books. Rob.
Looks like we've had Jerry retire, sadly. We've got Simon Carr in pit lane. One of the Black Rebels cars is in pit lane as well. Can't quite see who that is. But there's a few drivers having massive issues at the start. Seems like Marco Buhin and Linus Bostrom have got a lot of work to do. They're already 30 seconds back.
So the field's starting to spread out a little bit further behind them right now. The battle is for 9th and 10th position. This is Ludwig Anderson, who's got Paul Ilbrink. He's just been able to pull away a little bit.
Car off, well, just made us all one go flying into the wall.
And I'll tell you what, Ricard Andrew Tellenzo was trying to make the move at the same time on Ludwig Anderson. It didn't happen though, and Dan's going to give us an update in a moment on that car. He's slid into the wall, but right now, Kevin Asher, the battle for the 13th and 14th position on the racetrack, the 25 and the 9 car, they are still going along. That Rebels car, Rob, is really under pressure from Kevin Asher.
Yeah, Kevin pushing hard. Yeah, maybe setting him up for a move. Motegi's quite a good track for overtaking actually. Lots of nice braking zones and stuff, so Kevin's decent on the brakes. So let's see if he keeps the pressure on.
Pretty stop-start it is, wide portions of this racetrack. Meanwhile, through the battle for the race lead, I tell you what, Enzo Bonito is roaring off into the sunset right now. The gap was 1.56 seconds as they came past the start-finish line last time by, as they work on themselves right now. In fact, Teemu Iivonen can barely see his teammate Enzo Bonito on the racetrack as he now come under the light on the start-finish line. What's the gap going to be this time by? Enzo Bonito pulls that gap up to a 2.2 seconds. Bonito right now, Dan, is charging.
Enzo Bonito flying indeed. He is one of the drivers in that Williams Formula 1 series, and he's proven his superiority already. Teemu Iivonen is in 2nd place, 2.1 behind, but at the moment it's going to be, as you can tell, it looks like ineX Racing the carry on just where they left off.
And we believe it was Jesus Says who was on the race there in that Spain Sim Racing Club car. He has got some substantial damage. We believe he was the car that went off on lap number 2, Rob.
Yeah, sad times. What can you say? Enzo's doing a chow Alavedette mode right now, so he's off into the distance.
Is that your best Italian?
Ciao. Yeah, that's about it, really.
That's pathetic. Simply is pathetic. Yeah. Meanwhile, we're going to check in on this battle between the 86 car and the 14 machine right now on the racetrack, and this is the battle developing for the 11th and 12th position between Ricardo Chevian and Ludwig Anderson there.
There's a crash. The car that's gone off the track, it's Ilf Van Houten who's gone off the track, the number 30 car from 5th.
Oh no, we've got another crash as well. Jamie Rushworth, I believe he collected one of the Radical cars. We'll get confirmation of that in just moments in time. Indeed it was. Paul Ilbrink there, down into the hairpin.
Ilbrink's got damage, he's onto the wall, and I think, unfortunately, that's both Radical cars out. And this is an absolutely horrible way for them to end their race. And
I tell you what, it was on the inside, coming into the hairpin, and Rushworth just literally dove that car in the 11 car into the corner.
What kind of move is that, Will? What kind of move is that, really? We all race. That's ludicrous. It
was the latest of all the late dive bombs. He was already passing one other car, that was Angelo De Melia there, who'd fallen back, was running in the 4th position. He came down into the corner, he barely braked into the corner itself, took out there, and that will get a race penalty, I'm sure, if he can carry on going on the race. He allowed all the other cars to go past there in that movie-go racing car. He fell to the rear of the field, but still, that 25 car, sorry, the 11 car, pretty much took out there, you have to argue, Paul Ilbring. Meanwhile, battle for the race lead. That gap starting to stabilise now, about 2¼ seconds on the racetrack. Dan, once again, Team ineX Racing really are delivering.
If they're in front as well, they can keep out of trouble on the majority, you would think. It'd be an individual mistake, and ineX Racing really are, they're keeping out of trouble, they're going up front, and the way they are at the moment, they're definitely going to extend their lead in the championship.
So drivers out in the race so far: Alain Taser, Simon Carr, Francis Lawson, David Garcia, Jeremy Bouteloup, Ricardo Marinas, Jesus Says, Philip Widdowson, all out of the race. Of course, Paul Ilbrink is now scored laps down. Jamie Rushworth is down on pit road, so he needs to get his car back out onto the racetrack. Paul Ilbrink is still sat on pit road. You have Safe still sat on pit road, and Simon Carr and David Garcia. They're all on pit road right now and suffering big time with some substantial damage. I want to check in right now because Risto Capet actually has lost himself a ton of positions. Started this lap on the 4th position, has fallen back right now to the 8th spot on the racetrack. And we've got a replay up on your screen, we believe, right now. He got loose at corner exit. He's fallen back 4 positions, guys, and really is struggling right now on that number 20 car.
Yeah, it's... Oh, sorry, Will. I'm annoyed right now. You've got an angry commentator.
Oh no, in Capet
there's more accidents going on. Craig, everyone going off. Another car in the background goes off.
Yeah,
Kevin Viekemans I think Kevin Viekemans is involved. He's dropping down the order, and I think his race is over.
So Viekemans yet another, and I'll tell you what, there was another car there, Gorg Nujok, who's very slow on the racetrack right now for Vortex Sim Racing. He was lost himself a couple of positions these last couple of laps. He's now running down in the 23rd position on the racetrack. So he's suffering right now on that Vortex Sim Racing car. And I did say this at the start of the race time, we're in Japan, and it's one of these things that these iRaces noticed. The first day a Japanese track comes out, the composition of the asphalt here, different to what you see at North American and European tracks because of a different climate. What it means is that these cars are a lot more slippery here.
Yeah, we've seen that. A couple of cars have just actually get loose at the curb, and they crash a lot easier than they would have maybe on a different track. But as I said before, there definitely would be fireworks at the start of the race, and I've not been proved wrong so far.
And Ricardo Marinas has been disqualified for 2 accidents while rejoining the racetrack. Race control once again, Rob, taking a very stern line to some of these drivers.
Yeah, they need to, because at the moment it's not really a sprint race. It's more like carnage, demolition derby. From what I'm seeing, the driving standard's not very good at this one at the moment. We can't blame the tarmac all the time. Just a lack of talent with some drivers, sad.
Meanwhile, your top 10 is Enzo Bonito now with a 3.4 second gap over Teemu Iivonen in the 2nd position, a further 2.1 seconds to Rami Kaukola in 3rd, John Paquin a further 5 seconds back in the 4th position, Angelo D'Amelio in the 5th spot, Ricardo Chavian in 6th, Ludwig Anderson in 7th, Risto Capet in 8th, Ricardo Andrew Tellins in 9th, and then Andres Katana round out your top 10. We still have a total of 24 cars scored on the lead. In fact, 25 because Jamie Rushworth has been able to get back going. Scored 1 minute and 22 seconds behind your race leader. And right now the battle is developing between Mohammed Patel and let's take this back. It's between Mohammed Patel and Kevin Atcher actually. Patel driving for Twister Racing and Kevin Atcher, he's driving for Roaring Pipes Maniacs Team RPM. They are battling for the 13th and 14th positions right now, and it does look as though Atcher is catching Patel.
Yeah, Kevin Asher trying to be in a bit of a hurry because at the moment Roaring Pipes are currently 6th in the team's championship, so 8 points that Asher can get will help them with their trying to get further up the championship. With a lot of retirements today, so a chance for some teams to gain some crucial points.
Got himself a good run actually as they came underneath the bridge. Of course, the overruns on top of this racetrack, the two don't ever touch. But Atcher is closing that gap now down to less than 3 tenths of a second on the racetrack as they work themselves into the S's once again. And after this point is when the track starts getting more stop-start. Can Asher look it down to the inside as they work themselves down here? Not quite just yet, but I tell you what, Rob, they are also catching Otto Brandt in that 91 car and also Jan Wedden a little bit as well. And you have to say for Oliver Brown, a little bit off pace for what we expected him to be doing. But of course today he doesn't have that comfort of that 20 minutes that he normally has around pit stops to make up all that ground.
Exactly, yeah, strategy doesn't play a massive role in this. It's a sprint race, so as Kevin Asher's making a move, oh, he's having a look. just into one of the braking zones. Yeah, they're catching him. Obviously, Oliver seems to suit endurance racing as Kevin Ash is all over the back of Mohammed Patel.
As they come out of turn number 14 once again, Will Asher trying to down the inside ahead of them.
Victory corner, Will. Victory corner.
Victory corner. I'll tell you what, you also have Andres Katana and Jan Wedden battling for positions ahead of them. You've also got Andrew Talent and Rista Captain. They're still battling for the 8th and 9th positions on the racetrack. A lot of action to call right now. And that battle, the number 20 car, Rista Capet, who of course lost ground early on, now under severe pressure from Andrew Talent in the Black Rebels, number 25 machine down.
Yeah, and also further up the field, there's the Andres Kumanes and Jan Whedon are giving the hard time to the driver in front as well, which is Ricardo Talens. Quintana and Whedon also trying to get through, so despite the fact we haven't got so many cars, there's quite a bit of action going on all across the field.
And this battle, you can actually say, starts at the 8th position and goes all the way back to about 13th on the racetrack.
The Japanese tarmac just caught out car 26, Peter Piek, who just lost it coming out of one of the slow 90-degree corners.
And he is driving for Teemu Benelux right now in that 26 car, and he's fallen way off the pace, now down into the 21st position. Was already running just inside the top 20, so a little bit of an incident. Meanwhile, we've got a number 11, Jamie Rushworth, a drive-through penalty there for that collision with Paul Ilbrink, so he's now driven through and he served the penalty. He looks like he has gone one lap down now, but still, he's not quite gone one lap down, because you've got the leaders, they're only about 5-6 seconds further back, so he does stay in the lead lap, goes Jamie Rushworth, but now at the very rear of the field, and the 25th car scored on that lead lap.
Well from second place, I don't know what's happened.
Oh no!
But Teemu Iivonen just seems to have stopped out the race.
Well, it's weird because he just goes a little bit wide in the corner, and then that car just goes straight on him. And I'm going to have a look, and he's got back going, but he's lost about 6 positions there, and that's weird for Teemu Iivonen. He didn't spin that car or anything. It looks like he just stopped off.
Maybe he had an electrical problem or something with the car, which switched it off, and he's got it back going again. Maybe he's had to click the starter motor again or something.
We'll try and talk to Teemu Iivonen after the race, but he's now running that 8th position. He's going to be putting immediate pressure on, I believe that is going to be Rista Capet now in the 7th spot as they work themselves down once again. This is that part of the racetrack that Iivonen really is strong at. In fact, both the ineX cars are stronger, so expect him to try and get that job done very quickly. But bizarre there, Rob, with Teemu Iivonen in that ineX racing car.
I've never ever seen that, ever. That was crazy. It won't take him long to get back up, but he'll be aiming to get a top 5 finish now. If he can make his way through the field, he's quick enough. As he goes really sideways coming out of the hairpin.
And that's his issue as well now. Now he's further back in the field, he has to start pushing this car to try and navigate himself through some traffic as he tries to dive down the inside. Now he'll get the inside line down the back straightaway. He tried getting it immediately there so that he couldn't be blocked on that outside line. Capek stays on the outside line, down into the come, and it looks like Iivonen will get that job done, so he's now back up into the 7th position. Ludwig Andersen right now is about 3 seconds further ahead on the racetrack, and he's battling with Ricardo Chevion. So you have to think that Team GT car and the DMSV car start battling, that Iivonen will come back into play very quickly down.
Yeah, Teemu Iivonen is one of the quicker drivers, as we saw by his qualifying and early race pace. I think, as we said before, top 5 finish. At the moment he's 21 seconds off the lead, but he's only in fact 7 seconds off John Praquin in 3rd, so a podium can still be in order here for Teemu Iivonen.
Indeed, and your top 5 as it stands right now, it is still Enzo Bonito driving for the ineX Racing in the 1st position, Rami Kaukola in the 2nd position for Team RPM.
Oliver Brand almost run into the back of, it looked like Andres Quinta, I think.
He's made a move.
Yeah, it looks like he's been able to get past there, so he's been able to move himself up into the 11th position, and now also handing on the rear of Jan Wedden, who sat in the 10th position. To run through the rest of your top 5, Paquin in 3rd spot, Angelo De Mello in 4th, Ricardo Chevion rounds out your top 5, and about now we are got half an hour left of this race to go, and you have to say that Brandt is looking very racy. He's caught up to the rear of Jan Wedden very, very quickly, guys.
He certainly has. He's putting the hammer down, as they say, using a lot of right foot and nothing much else. But who's that sitting behind him? That would be car 24. So that's Quintana just behind him, trying to get the position back at the moment.
Talking of being on it as well, Teemu Iivonen is already on the back of Ludwig Andersen and Ricardo Schibon for 6th and 5th place. So Teemu Iivonen certainly is a flying fin at the moment. I think he can have 5th place by the end of this next lap or two.
It's going to be very interesting. Go on.
Do you think Team ineX lock their drivers in cellars and just whip them into machines? I think they do. They've got some crazy training program because they're all amazingly.
But don't forget, of course, that Enzo Bonito is a World Championship Series driver, as is Teemu Iivonen. Both of them are black stripes. It's Iivonen all over the rear of that Danielson Motorsports car of Ludwig Andersen. But the thing is, at the same time, Iivonen needs to get going if he's going to have any chance of catching up to the rear of Paquin and Demila, because right now he's losing time. As look at that, down the inside he will go to take that pass. Looks like Anderson got a little bit loose there down into the corner. I'm wondering if he did actually, he just tapped the rear just a tiny bit there of Cheviot, which pushed him out wide, and that allowed Iivonen to go past. One down, one to go, and for Iivonen, as I was just about to say, Dan, he has to get going because he's losing time. It's now about 8 seconds to Paquin, so he's got to get past these drivers into clean air very quickly.
Definitely, because all the time he's stuck up behind the car, as you said, Paquin will pull further and further away. After Iivonen goes past Shimon, he's got about a 4-second gap to the next car, so have clean air for a little bit. He's right on the back of Shimon here, so I think he's definitely a man on the move, and I think by the end of this lap he'll be in position 5, if not quicker. I reckon he'll go
in fact, he's looking down into the inside as they come down. It looks like it's going to be a clean, easy pass. Iivonen up into the 5th position. Now he's got like clean air. Now he has himself 5 seconds to catch up before he gets to do it on Jay D'Amelia, and you're going to have to say he'll do that within the next 3 or 4 laps, Rob.
Yeah, but I've been watching another little battle developing while you're doing that. He is catching Angelo D'Amelia, who's actually catching John Paquin as well. So that battle's developing slowly. He's got him firmly locked, target locked and acquired, and he's catching him hand over fist coming down the start, finish straight.
So Benito's still leading the way. That gap right now between himself and Kokoda is now 8 seconds on the racetrack. Paquin is a further 10 seconds back, and you have to say that Iivonen is really charging. But you have to say for Blue Flag Racing, right now that 3rd place, even if Paquin falls back, arguably into the 5th position, that will still be the best finish of the year so far for BFR. So I'm wondering whether or not those guys will be saying to the Indianapolis resident, look, just bring it in the top 5, we need all the points we can get, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, strategy plays a part in this, as it is a team championship, so maybe they're telling him to wind his neck in, or, you know, maybe they just let him gloves off, go for it. Why not? It's racing. We don't want to tell him to F1 with, oh, you can't race, boys, because your tyres are...
Indeed. Meanwhile, let's have a look a little bit further down the field. You've got Rob Straitmans right now, the 23 car, involved in a beautiful battle. Javier Di Jongo, Diego even, and it does look as though that Straitmans is slower in the first part of that lap in that Falcon GP car, but then in the second half of the lap he is faster than Xavier in that 96 machine, driving for Positive Sim Racing. But also they are slowly starting to reel in Oliver Brandt as well, and that's this pack which starts at about Rista Capet and goes all the way through to about the 13th
he's just
position.
funny. Car 23 just... Rob Straitman's just lost it coming out of the turn. Complete opposite lock, and now he's let car 68 by Will Carrington and Jan Wiedin. Just going to sneak through on the inside as well. So 2 places
Is that the curse
lost.
of the commentator? In fact, it was. Tell you what, he didn't even lose the car on the grass or anything. He came through the corner, nice on the entry, and that car just lost it on the apex there. And the Falcon GP car, as you say, now down into 15th position, still under pressure from Mark Bird. This goes a little bit sideways there as they now run down into turn 12, 13, 14. And Mark Bird, Talk Quick Racing, running in that 16th position, smells a little bit of blood right now.
Yeah, maybe it was a little bit of sushi that was left on the track that he's just lost the rear end on. Could have been, you know. He's in Japan.
It could also be sashimi. Come on.
It could be,
No.
but let's see how this battle develops.
This three-car battle now, it is for 14th, 5th, 16th positions on the racetrack. You've got Will Cunnington ahead. You now have a recovering Rob Treatment in the 15th position. Mark Bird in the 16th spot. Nice little battle going on, Dan, but it does look as though that Straightman, ever since he got that car straightened up, he hasn't really been able to make much of an impression on Cunnington. He's now having to defend quite heavily from Bird.
Maybe the tyres still got a bit better than what's up. The car's not quite back up to a full 100% race. I think by the end of this lap though, if he's a quicker driver, you should be able to catch up a bit further. But talking a bit further afield, the battle for 10th, 11th and 12th is coming up because Kevin Ash has lost position to Oliver Brandon. Earlier on the lap, he was challenging Mohamed Patel going into turn 2 and 3 on the outside, but now Ash is going to try and make a move back down on him, and Brandt's going to go a bit loose there, and Kevin Ash is going to have the drive to get him here.
As they come down, he's going to be the last of late breakers. Actually, if he breaks a little bit later, we'll be able to swing around the outside. Not going to happen, however. That 81 car, they almost banged doors there. Asher has to get out of the gas. This is going to hurt him all the way down this long back straightaway. You can see already he's losing a bit of time. Now we get that slipstream once again. The speed building back up. Will he try and slow it down the inside as they come down into turn number 10? No, he won't. So Oliver Brand there, perhaps you have to say, playing a little bit of a team role here, allowing Patel to get himself a little bit of clean air up.
That was 10-11, Will, and as they go through Victory Corner, they're on to the start finish. I love the name of that corner, it's great. But this is a great battle. I reckon he'll just sit there and wait for another lap or so. Just chill out and see where he's weak and then shove it down the inside.
Although he did fall back there those last couple of corners, getting very loose as they now work themselves out of turn number 2 once again, and this time it's Brown with a little bit of a wiggle.
Yeah, not looking the nicest cars to drive right now. They look like quite hard work.
It doesn't. You have to say, Dan, that these and also don't forget as Oliver Brandt goes once
off.
again. This will allow Asher to close right up, and he will complete the pass. And the outside there, easy pass there for Kevin Asher, back up into the 11th. Yes, he will. Position.
Brad didn't want to give it up there, but I think he just about set us for the last minute. But as you said, Will, these cars seem to be not very back-end twitchy for some of them today.
And don't forget as well, it is a night race, and of course, this is our first night race of the season, so colder tyres, you know, in some cars, if you're over racing, cold tyres work better. In road racing, that's not always the case, Rob.
Yeah, you'd think though, with all the tyre heating issues that we've had previously in the series, that this would be ideal for McLarens. You know, they're not going to cook their tyres, they can push hard because the temperatures don't come up that much, you know, and they don't turn into understeering animals, but they're not coming up enough and they're turned into oversteering animals. There doesn't seem to be any medium.
Track temperature right now is 78 degrees Fahrenheit. We have a northerly wind of about 2 miles an hour on this racetrack, and Enzo Bonito is checking on our race leader. And tell you what, actually, that gap to himself and Rami Kaukola, it's come down a couple of clicks the last 3 or 4 laps. Last time by, Kaukola was slower, but you have to say perhaps he's managing his race now.
And Teemu Iivonen is actually almost on the back door of Angelo D'Amelia as well. So he's caught him up hand over fist. It's only his second gap. So car 35 and car 01, and Teemu is going to look to chuck it down the inside very shortly.
Yep, and this is the battle for the 4th and 5th position. We will have to take a commercial break in about 5 minutes time, but we will stay with this battle until then. Right now it's between the 35 car of Angelo D'Amelia in the 4th position, and he has got himself that Team GT car only about half a second gap over Teemu Iivonen in this battle for the 4th and 5th position. Further back you've got Will Carrington, Rob Straightman, Mark Bird. They are involved in a huge battle as Straightman's almost run into the rear of Bird, who has now been able to get past the Falcon GP car of Rob Straightman. You also have Miguel Angel Yami there in the 17th position, and then Alexandra Catano for ABR Racing as well. And this is one huge gaggle of cars circulating on the racetrack, separated by less than 3 seconds on the track. Meanwhile, for Iivonen in that 5th position, he's now going to look down to the inside as they come down into turn number 11. Will he complete the pass? Yes, he will, and move Teemu Iivonen now back up into the 4th position.
The corner speed he carries in that car through that corner was absolutely ridiculous. He's already pulled a car's length already. It's nuts as you go through Victory Corner, my favourite corner on this racetrack.
And now his next sight will be the podium and John Paquin in that number 22 car. Of course, Paquin is widely regarded as one of the fastest guys ever to step into an IndyCar. This track also, of course, is perhaps one of the most famous IndyCar driver of the last 5 years, only by popularity and media and all that, of course. Won her one and only race, being the first woman to win an open wheel race from top level in history. That, of course, was Danica Patrick. In the meanwhile, we're going to step aside for just one moment as these battles continue to develop on the racetrack. We'll be right back after this short message.
Go get him, buddy. Go get him, man. You're faster than he is.
Welcome back to the second half of the fourth round of the SDC Race Department Blue Cup for 2013. We are here at Ring Motegi. This 14-corner, 4.8 kilometre racetrack. The lap record is 1 minute 48 seconds, .915. Will Vincent, Rob Cuss and Dan Blake in the booth very quickly. We are going to talk about this battle for 14th through 18th, and it does look as though that Oliver Brandt actually had an issue that last time. He's falling out into the clutches of these drivers. He's falling from the rear of Kevin Asher and Mohammed Patel.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Street Motors hit Kevin Bird gone past. That battle was looking very well, but it's ended in contact, unfortunately.
Mark Bird, I think.
Yes, and everyone knows that the Bird, of course, is the word, and Bird has now fallen down into the 17th position, however, in that Torque Freak racing car. So right now, battle that has been developing is Will Carrington still leading the way. Then it is Rob Straterman's in 15th, Alexander Catano in 16th position. Mark Bird has fallen back into the 17th position. However, still has about a 5-second cushion over Miguel Angel never said it right, Gaya Yummy on the racetrack. Don't laugh at me, you're the one that couldn't say another driver's name early on in this race.
Anyway,
but let's talk about Oliver Brandt, that
team...
91 car.
Oh,
yeah.
Do we? Because I was going to say Teemu Iivonen is catching your buddy John Paquin hand over fist, is firmly engaged in combat right now.
Well, we'll go to that one in a moment, and it's Paquin, not Paquin. But Oliver Brandt in the 91 car, you have to say that he's really been struggling here today. He's been able to, get involved in that battle with Asher and Patel. But again, he loses it. This time he just saves it as they work underneath the bridge there. I tell you what, that was almost a race-ending moment there for Oliver Brandt. I tell you what, right there, that just about summed up his race. But now let's turn our attention to that battle between Paquin and Iivonen. Some tyre smoke there coming out the rear of the 22 Blue Flag racing car there as they work themselves now down into this tricky 90-degree right-hander, which kind of opens out on corner exit. Iivonen is charging that ineX racing car, and don't forget he fell back about 8 seconds on the racetrack, Dan, and is right there once again.
Yeah, I said at the time he could get a podium, and it looks like he will do that. He's got about 13 minutes to go, and he's all over the back of John Paquin. And now, as we said before, John Paquin, a very established iRacer, one probably in the 50 top iRacers in the whole world. So to get past John Paquin for Teemu Iivonen will be no mean feat, but I think he probably will do it.
And Iivonen is going to be sizing up that 22 car over the course of the next 3 or 4 laps. I'll tell you what, Paquin is struggling in the centre of the slow corners right now. Class, I've been seeing it the last 3 or 4 laps. He's struggling getting that power on. We saw him get some smoke coming out of turn number 3. And let's see what happens as they come down into 11 once again. Iivonen very close to the rear of him. And he might be able to set himself up for a pass into 14.
Iivonen's car looks amazing going through the corners. He's got so much corner speed compared with Paquin. He's going to set him up for the straight and maybe look down to the inside at the end of the straight. I think just superior corner speed. Paquin's car just doesn't seem to want to go around the corner very well.
And look at this, he just pulls to the inside, game over, Iivonen back up into the 3rd position and the podium, almost outbreaks himself into turn number 1, but Iivonen, ineX racing car, once again, 2 of them on the podium down.
Yeah, it just shows it's been the whole season really. ineX Racing really have given everyone the target to meet, and so far none of the others really seem to have stepped up very well. They've got a massive lead in the championship, and you can only assume they're going to extend that even more after today's race at Motegi.
Field starting to spread itself out just a tiny bit right now. We still have a total of 22 cars scored on the lead lap. There was a little bit of a battle last time between 2 of them, which is Linus Swanstrom and Gork Nudrox. It does look as though that Nudrox has fallen way off the pace this lap, however, in that Vortex Racing 95 car. We believe he had a little semi-spin there, which has pushed him further back. But you also have Miguel Angel Yami battling with Peter Payak right now in the battle for the 17th and 18th position. Ahead of them, a lot of dust being kicked up. Well, I think that was by Mark Bird as these 2 cars start to reel them in. But that 17th, 18th position battle right now is going well. Straightman's now down into 20th.
Yeah, we had that contact, didn't he? Or half spin or whatever, and he's struggling with his car right now. Doesn't look the best, so he's obviously rocking around with some damage.
And he's rocking it still pretty well in that Falcon GP car. That battle though between 17th and 18th position, it does look as though that Payak is driving pretty well right now, trying to eke out that advantage, not being able to do so. Yami is still closing up in that SSRC car as they work themselves once again. What this is now onto the back straightaway. You can tell that I want to see the straight line speed actually, because this is going to be intriguing between these 2 cars. But it does look as though that Payak gets a better run out of the corners, and that's how he's able to keep that position down.
Yeah, straight line speed. There's quite a lot of straights on this track. You've got the long one between 3 and 4. You've got the mini one between 9 and 10. Then you've got the big one between turn 10 and 11. Straight line speed here is one of the bigger points you can make your time up here. Really, the corner speed like Teemu Iivonen's, and also the straights, because there are quite a lot of them on this track.
So let's run through your list of retirees out the race. If you're keeping an eye on your favourite, unfortunately for some of them, their day is done. Alan Taser for Vortex Sim Racing out of the race. Remus Larson for Walk Racing out of the race. Jeremy Bouteloup for the Radicals out. Blue Flag Racing Simon Carr is out. Ricardo Marinas for AB Racing is out of the race. The other Radicals of Paul Ilbrink is actually on pit road at the moment, but looks as though he's not going to be going much further. Van Treven in Antwerp Racing Team is out of the race. Kevin Beekman for also the Antwerp Racing Team is out of the race. Andres Katana for Positive Sim Racing is scored 8 laps down and out of the race. David Garcia for the Black Rebels, a disappointing day for them, scored 5 laps down in the 27th position. And Sayas is scored in the 26th position, 4 laps down for SSRC. Philip Widdowson for Talk Freak Racing scored 2 laps down. You then have 2 cars 1 lap down. That is Jamie Washworth involved in that contact with Paul Ilbrink earlier on, then given a drive-through penalty. And Gorgon Udrox also now scored 1 lap down. That run through all the guys who have scored out of the race. Meanwhile, to run through your top 10, it is ineX Racing's Enzo Bonito still leading the way. Rami Kaukola for Team RPM in the 2nd position. Teemu Iivonen in 3rd for ineX Racing. In 4th position is John Paquin for Team Blue Flag Racing. In 5th is Andrea D'Amelia for Team GT, and actually now catching up to the rear of Paquin, Ricardo Chevion in the 6th position for Team GT. 7th is Danielson Motorsports for Ludwig Anderson. In 8th is Ricard Andrew Tennant for the Black Rebels. 9th is Risto Capet there, and in 10th is Mohammed Patel for Twister Racing. Now let's turn our attention to this battle for 4th and 5th position, because last time by, Angelo D'Amelia did a 150.0, compare that to a 150.5 there for Paquin. It looks as though Amelia is looking to try and get that 4th position away from the 22 car.
Yeah, he's just cruising up to the back of him. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think he's got quite the corner speed that Teemu has, so he's going to have to drive his socks off to get past John. So we'll see how this develops. It's looking good. I mean, half a second on the last lap is quite some margin to catch him up. I'm just disappointed. But
I know you're still disappointed. Shut up.
There goes our top 3 spot in the team challenge, man.
I tell you what though, still a lot of racing left to go, and of course we still have 2 rounds of the championship to go. We have a 90-minute endurance race and we have a 45-minute sprint race. The first of them in 2 weeks' time, the 90 minutes of Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. That will be a great race to watch actually on the 30th of May. Unfortunately, I won't be there for that because I'll be flying somewhere literally in the air between Canada and England. And then in 4 weeks' time, the final round of the season, Homestead, Miami Speedway, Road Course B, and that is going to be one hell of a fast race. We'll talk more a little bit about that after this race concludes. That battle for 4th and 5th continues on the racetrack. It does look as though, Dan, now Mia's into that dirty air. He's struggling to find a way past John Paquin.
Doesn't seem to have the same speed as Teemu Iivonen did, and Paquin seems to be at the moment able to keep Demelo at bay. But it'll be interesting to see. We've got about 6 minutes to go, so probably got about 4 or 5 laps to go. So Paquin, we're hoping to keep him behind. He hasn't too much more longer to go there.
And I'm having a look at the, because you can tell it's a lot better on the night. You can see how early Paquin's actually braking for the corners as well. He's getting into the corners later, but able to carry less speed through it. That's an interesting point to note there, that they're taking 2 completely different ways of attacking these corners, Rob.
yes, different drivers have different lines. You know, for the car setups, etc. As you know, from IndyCar, people can take, depending on the car setup, different entry, different exit. Trying to work on, you know, corner exit is key, would be key for here, I would have thought, because of the long straights. But as Teemu's shown with his car, corner speed is massive as well. It's like, what do you sacrifice? Do you want an easy car to drive, or do you want a rocket?
Easy come, easy go is what I'm going to say. I'm going to turn our attention to the 25 car, required under Italians, the last of the remaining Black Rebels cars, running in that 8th position. And Black Rebels is one of those teams here today that wanted to have a good showing in the championship, Rob. And I mean, they had a good start to the season, drifted off a little bit. In fact, they fell back to 10th in the championship. And I mean, Positive Sim Racing will have lost the car as well. Falcon GP aren't doing too well. But the Black Rebels were really really hoping even to try and get themselves above that gaggle of cars that swung away from about 8th through to about 13th in the championship.
Yeah, you know, they're picking themselves up from bad results. So work their way up, nice and slow.
And meanwhile, it looks as though that Rich Capet and Mohammed Patel might have had an incident on the racetrack. And this is the battle right now. In fact, you've got Capet. It looks as though that he's up into the 10th position. Mohammed Patel into 9th spot. Patel looking as though he has some technical issues right now as well. But they had a little bit of a moment, Dan, about half a lap ago.
Yeah, Patel, coming out of turn 10, Patel seemed to have a lot of speed, and straight, he went down the inside. Capet didn't make it easy for him, tried to force him out there quite close to the pit wall. As he got to the braking point for turn 11, there was a bit of door banging, and as a result, Patel managed to get his way through. Patel was on the inside, forced Capet to go a little bit wide. There was some touch of door banging, but the end result was Mohammed Patel up to 9th position.
So he's now up into the top 10. His teammate Arda Bram right now running in the 13th position, but still is struggling. He needs to gain a couple of spots due to retirees and other people not having what they would have wanted. But once again, the other Twister racing car of Arda Bram, you're going to have to say, we always talk about drivers of the day, but if you talk about a disappointing performance by a driver of the day, with someone still circling on the racetrack, Arda Bram just hasn't had the luck here today.
And that, he's firmly wearing the dunce hat for today, I think. Would that be fair, the dunce hat?
I think that would be a little bit too harsh. The not so great driver award, that might work well. I mean, it looks as though he's really been struggling with the balance of his car, actually. We did see it as he watched himself through turn 12, 13. Yeah, we'll blame that Japanese tarmac again, I think. Meanwhile, less than 4, we just got over 4 minutes of this race here to go. Gotta keep an eye out actually to see where your race leader is, Enzo Bonito, because he is right now looking as though he is working himself, that's just out of the S's, I believe. So we are going to have 2 laps left to go at the line. But the one that we talk about the least always does the best drive, and that is Enzo Bonito. We haven't talked about him pretty much all race long. That ineX racing car has been superbly dominant. Let's not forget, before he even had his issues, Bonito was still up to a 3-second lead.
Ridiculous. They're machines. Enzo Bonito is the Italian Terminator, I've decided. Just, you know, target acquired, victory, must win. That's it. Game over.
So we had Alexei UC Dracula, and now we have the Terminator in Enzo Bonito. In fact, we'll try and talk to him after the race, and I tell you what, Bonito, he really does use those curves. It does look as though he's about to fling it into the wall at any moment. But Enzo Bonito, he's going to come past the start finish line. There'll be 2 laps left to go at the line, and Dan, he's got right now a 14.3 second gap over Rami Kaukola, and it is growing with every single lap.
What you said there, Will, before about him putting it on the limit is exactly why. He could maybe relax, but maybe he doesn't feel comfortable doing that. He just feels comfortable going full pace, full throttle. He's giving it all back end sliding out. Maybe that's just the way Enzo Bonito drives, but he's stretched out a massive lead, as you said, 14.3 seconds. And as long as he doesn't make a mistake, it should be enough to carry him to victory.
Meanwhile, we'll check in one more time on that battle for the 4th and 5th position. This is between John Paquin and Angelo Di Melia. It does look as though that in that dirty air, Rob, Melia wasn't able to do anything about it. He's fallen back to about 1.1 seconds to the rear of John Paquin. And you could say that maybe Di Melia might have pushed his tyres a little bit too much, trying to catch up to the rear of Paquin. Because that Team GT car looking as though he's not got the pace he had about 3-4 laps ago.
Yeah, it seems to have dropped off. Just maybe he's sliding around in the dirty air, as you say, the thunder's doing a little bit. Or maybe John just put his foot down a little bit and went, you know what, I want to finish 4th, go away, leave me alone kind of thing. Stop hassling me. So I think John's settled down 4th. I think Angelo should, I don't think he can catch him, so should settle for 5th and be happy with the top 5. It's a good result, it's a great result.
It is a good result for Team GT, and let's not forget, they are involved pretty heavily in the championship as well. But they will probably leapfrog Team Radical in this race, Dan. And for Team GT, it's going to be a pretty good result for them.
Yeah, Team GT will certainly move up to 3rd place in the championship. It's been a very good run today for Joe DeMello. We haven't spoken much about him really, but as we said about Enzo Bonito, he's got on the job, not had any real problems as such, and as a result, he finds himself up there in 5th position.
Meanwhile, for Enzo Bonito, he is looking as though he is now on his white flag lap. 1 more lap to go here for Enzo Bonito in this race. The play clock has 50 seconds remaining on it, and you have to say Bonito could do another 45 minutes. So this is a car just going off the track there. That unsized Bonito just a tiny bit through the apex of turn number 3 and 4. Couldn't really see who it was. It might have been Philip Widdowson actually there. Now scored 2 laps down on the other Talk Freak racing car. We talked about how it's been kind of up and down day even for Mark Bird in that 05 car. So at the rear of that train, he's got Alexander Catano and Will Currington ahead of it. Let's see if anything happens with them in the last moments of this race. But Enzo Bonito, meanwhile, working himself into these S's once again. And it is sublime to see the level of grip that ineX racing car has. Rob.
Absolutely. Looks a peach to drive. It looks like a perfect car to drive. You know, when he's slid it, he's been able to catch it. It doesn't look vicious. It just goes around corners. It just works. You know, as he cruises around, going on downhill straight, he's only got 4 corners to go, and he will go through the very aptly named victory corner, which will be the last corner to take the victory in the 4th round of the STC.
So far, ineX Racing have won 2 of the 3 rounds of the championship. They have been the dominant force all season long. Enzo Bonito now working himself down into turn number 12. 2 more corners left to go. 13 is done. Down into victory corner he comes for Enzo Bonito. He will claim victory in the STC rSeat.net. 45 minutes of Motegi. Enzo Bonito makes it 3 wins out of 4 there for Team ineX Racing. Rami Kaukola, he will come home eventually in the 2nd position, now working himself onto the front straightaway there in that Team RPM car. He will claim 2nd position for the 66 car. Teemu Iivonen, after losing 10 seconds early on in this race, he probably would have come 2nd. He comes home in 3rd for ineX Racing. 2 ineX drivers on the podium once again. And then John Paquin for Blue Flag Racing taking home 4th position. Angelo D'Amelia taking home that 5th spot. They are your top 5. And guys, what a race.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant racing again from this series. Just, it produces great racing. Obviously, not as great for my team, but...
The first
Meanwhile,
couple of laps or so were absolutely so much action going on. Eventually it calmed down, but as you said before, Will, Enzo Bonito, I don't think he put a single foot wrong all race really. The car looked on rails, he looked really confident with it, and he showed he took it home to a 16.2 second victory. But as you and Robert said, this has been a great race for the STC Team Championship.
In the last lap of the race, it does look as though that Alexander Catano was able to get past Will Currington to move himself up into the 15th position of the race. Catano there for AB Racing even, being able to get himself that 1 spot towards the end of the race. The flat-out racing car of Currington falls down into the 15th position. We're just waiting for all of the cars to come past the start of finish line. I believe that Peter Piak has just about to do so there. In fact, actually, in that 26 car, he pitted with 1 lap to go. We believe he was very light on fuel there, so he now comes past the start finish line, and as he does so, we can run through your final race results. And in 1st position, Enzo Bonito there, a time of 45 minutes and 37 seconds to take race victory. In 2nd position, Rami Kaukola, with a good drive actually for that Team RPM car, not able to close up to rear of the ineX train, however. Teemu Iivonen in 3rd for ineX Racing. In 4th position is John Paquin for Team Blue Flag Racing. In 5th for Team GT is Angelo D'Amelia. In 6th position for Team GT. So 2 Team GT drivers separated by just 10 seconds on the racetrack. In 6th, Ricardo Chevian. 7th is Ludwig Anderson for Danielson Motorsport. 8th is Ricardo Andres Tallins for the Black Rebels. 9th and himself, Twister Racing. Then 10th is Risto Capet there. In the 11th position, Kevin Asher for RPM. 12th is Javier Di Jingo for Positive Sim Racing. 13th, Twitter Sim Racing's Oliver Brand. 14th, AB Racing's Alexandra Catano. 15th is Flat Out Racing for Carrington. 16th, Mark Bird there for Talk Freak Racing. SSRC's Miguel Yami there in the 17th position. 18th is Jan Wedden for Danielson Motorsports. 19th, Rob Straitmans for Falcon GP. Rounding out your top 20 is Team Influx's Marco Byrne. The rest of the results will be up on your screen momentarily. A couple of things to take out of this race. Enzo Bonito, ineX Racing, Teemu Iivonen, ineX Racing, dominant once again. A good performance there by Flat Out Racing. A good performance also with Team Blue Flag Racing with Paquin. You have Team GT still doing strong in the championship. They will move themselves now up into the 3rd position in the standings. Danielson Motorsports didn't have a good day here today. And Twister Racing also an up and down day for them as well, as they continue their battle in the championships. For RPM as well, they got 2nd position, but for Kevin Asher, only an 11th spot, which will hurt their championship a tiny bit. I mean, they came into this race down in the 6th position. They'll gain 1 or 2 positions, but they might actually just beat Walk Racing in the standings. But overall, Team ineX Racing dominant once again.
Yeah, they've been proving very strong in this championship, and strong and consistent. They just, nothing seems to faze them. They just drive, win, or if they don't win, they finish 2nd and 3rd. They're driving the perfect team game. 2 podiums, pretty much every race. I think it is every race, isn't it, Will?
Every race apart from 1. Pay attention.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry, Dad.
How can you miss it? It's a race that you commentated half of it by yourself.
That's probably why I missed it, because I was under so much pressure because Dan didn't turn up.
Yeah, we'll blame Dan. Dan, it's your fault. Right, give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel.
Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Right, give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Daniel. Give me a drive of the day, starting with you, Dani
I'm going to go with John Paquin. I think his first appearance, and he's finished 4th place, and the field is quite strong. And also, as you said before, Will, very, very multi-talented in all levels. So I think to come into the series and get a 4th straight away is quite an achievement.
Robert?
Enzo Bonito.
I think you can't really argue with that. As much as I would love to give it to JP, and to be fair, I'm so looking forward to actually finally meeting him in person next week. But unfortunately, I am going to have to say Enzo Bonito there in the 31 car. I think for Payton, he's still got his demons to fight, and that will happen in a little over 10 days' time in the iRacing Indianapolis 500. But today, it was all about ineX Racing once again, doing a sterling job. And in fact, we are going to, in one moment, talk to my good friend, Mr. JP. I just have to, however, find a way of multitasking, and we all know that men can't multitask. So if you bear with me, just one moment.
While Will is multitasking.
There we are.
What do you think? Oh, he's here. The legend has entered.
In fact, we'll talk to Teemu first. Teemu, ineX Racing, 1-3, once again, still dominant in the standings. How the hell do you do it?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know. I'm quite surprised myself.
Do you lock your drivers in a basement and just whip them until they are like crazed machines?
Right, we're going to have to stop that question, because in fact, locking people in basements and whipping them, that can have another meaning to it altogether. So you shush over there. I will talk a little bit more sense, but I want to talk about your incident. It looks as though that you had some form of electrical issues. You just stopped for 10 seconds. Was it answering a phone call, toilet break, or what?
Yeah, no, it's I got this problem a couple of weeks ago, the first time. My screen goes completely black, and I can still hear the sounds for another 5 seconds, and then the game freezes completely, and I can't do anything. It goes another 5 seconds, and it tabs out, and then tabs back into the game, and I can drive like normal again. So I spoke to someone who said it might be my graphics driver resetting itself while driving. So it's really unfortunate. I'm really bummed about that.
You fell back into the 8th position. You were able to work yourself back up into 3rd, so good recovery drive, but would have arguably been a very easy ineX 1-2 there.
Without any problems. I mean, Rami was driving really good. He was keeping up quite good. So you never know what could have happened, but we were aiming for a 1-2 when we saw our pace in qualifying.
And Terminator taking victory. Yes, we've now called him Terminator. With Enzo Bonito. Yourself coming home in the 3rd position. 2 races in the championship left to go, starting at the famous Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. You figured out your driver lineup yet? Because of course you're kind of having to use people a little bit more now.
No, nothing. We haven't discussed that at all. Spa is a track that pretty much every one of us have driven, so, and I think most of us have done 2 races so far that it might just be a lottery. We're just gonna put names in the hat and bring 2 up, see who gets to drive.
So you're not going to be thinking about the drivers that might prefer Homestead more, or might be better at driving Homestead and resting up for Spa? This literally is going to be taking it 1 race at a time?
No, we just take it 1 race at a time. Homestead, it's just another track. It's just up on the road, so it doesn't really matter.
10-4, well, congratulations, 1-3 in the championship standings. Of course, still doing well in the iRacing World Championship Series as well is Teemu Iivonen. Now we're going to move over to Team RPM, your 2nd place driver, Rami Kaukola. And Rami, you've had a pretty good race here today, 2nd place, well done.
Yes, I'm very happy, 2nd place, and congratulations to Bonito, awesome drive, and bad luck for Teemu. It would be solid 1-2 for ineX.
I tell you what, Rob, you're allowed to answer 2 questions because I need to go and get some water.
Rami, great drive. How do you set your car up for the infamous Japanese tarmac?
Actually, my setup is pretty much same than all the 3 race what I have raced. So pretty much same.
Okay, so it's just a super easy setup for you to drive, and you know you just cruise around. You drove super good today. That's the best I've seen you drive in this series. So many congratulations for that.
Yes, thank you. I did a lot of testing for the last 2 weeks.
See, people, if you're watching, if you want to be like Rami, 2 weeks of testing and practice, and you will finish second.
I'll tell you what, in my
Maybe
world,
if you
that's
did
not
3
long
weeks,
enough.
It could have been first.
In my world, that's not even long enough, Rob. We have something called the month of May. That's more important. Rami, we've got 2 races left to go in the championship. Team RPM, they've had a kind of up and down season. For example, today you finished second, but you also finished 11th. What can you do over these last 2 races to consolidate and try and move yourself further up in the standings?
That's a good question, but I think we need to finish both our cars. Last race was really bad because no cars finish at all, so we have to get both cars to finish. That's the good.
And at Spa, that's going to be easier said than done. But it's a 90-minute race. It's a long race. It's a track that everyone knows, but a track with trouble at every turn. You guys looking forward to it?
Yes, of course, but I cannot anymore drive. I already did 3 races, so.
Well, congratulations for your 3 races. It's been, say, good season when you've been able to finish. I say a 2nd place and an 11th place here today for Team RPM. Moving over to our 4th place driver, and I don't know this guy at all, but John Payton, well done. 4th finish.
Oh, thanks, Will. That was a lot of fun racing with Angelo there. We raced a long time, and Teemu was flying up behind me there after he had his incident, so I just got the hell out of his way. It was fun though.
Yeah, you started 7th, got yourself up into the 3rd position after Teemu's incident, and you say, we did see literally just letting off the gas on that right-hand side to move him back into 3rd. But then it did look as though Demele caught you up, then after that, I'm not sure, did you just start pushing a little bit more, or was it the fact that Demele probably was a little bit harder once he got into that dirty air?
No, I just got a little more comfortable with it. I was just using a race setup from a fixed league I run in, and it's really nice and stable, and I wasn't prepared as Enzo and some of those guys. He was on his own planet, and so my first goal was just to try to finish clean without mistakes, which I made 3 or 4 of them that cost me some time here and there, but it was a lot of fun.
And
JP, I've got to ask you a quick question on a button wheel. The month of May, JP, Indy 500. What do you think?
What do I think of what?
Chance.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me what do I think if I'm going to race it or not. I still haven't decided.
We'll make him race.
I can't make anyone race.
You can. You're influential in this sport.
No, I'm not. I'm hardly influential at all. But get back onto a relevant subject. Blue Flag Racing, a nice 4th place finish here today. You're running with a couple of new guys. I mean, of course, we've been more used to see the likes of Spondler and Ron, so on and so forth. But today with Blue Flag Racing, you've been gelling well into that team by the sounds of it, working with likes of Mark Warmington. We're going to see you again racing in the BFR car at some point this season?
I'm not sure if this season or not, but I'll definitely do more in the future. That's a lot of fun. I especially like the standing start. That was actually the first race I've ever been in with a standing start. You know, me being a high downforce oval guy, and that was pretty interesting. That was fun.
Well, tell you what, I'm not quite sure how you got yourself to run a McLaren after all those years in a Ferrari, but well done. 4th place finish there for John Paquin. And let's very quickly, Dan, turn our attention to 2 weeks' time. We're going to have Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It's going to be a tough old race.
Yeah, Spa, one of the very iconic circuits in the world. It's lots of things can happen at Spa. We see a lot of sometimes see a lot of incidents and that, but I think Spa will be a great race, to be honest. You got the long straight, you've got the Eau Rouge as well. And I think so overall it's going to be a really good race in 2 weeks' time. I'm thoroughly looking forward to that one.
So join us in 2 weeks' time for the 5th round of the Race Department STC Blue Cup for 2013. The rSeat.net 90 minutes of Spa. Glacier TV will be back this coming Saturday with the Indianapolis 500 whole day review show, where basically what we do is we get a load of IndyCar fans into a room and we talk about IndyCar, not sim racing, real IndyCar, because we can only do it once a year. And then, of course, also on Sunday, we have Polar GT as well. So much more to come on Glacier TV, your home for the 2013 iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series and World Tour as well. In the meantime, I've been Will Vincent, that's been Rob Cuss, that has been Daniel Blake. We'll see you all next time. Oh, and that's Shana on cameras as well. Bye-bye.